All right, welcome back, everybody. Anybody that's new here, thanks for joining me today. Hopefully, today's video is a very simple one that can help save your life. So stay tuned. All right, guys. We're gonna keep this really short, really simple. Hopefully, this is not needed to be repeated. I'm gonna try to teach you guys something that I've learned over many years of fishing ice. Those of you guys that are new to the ice fishing world, you're going to want to pay attention, maybe take notes. I'm not even joking when I say it. Like, get a piece of paper, take some notes. The only way I could do this better would be like if I could get out on the ice right now and like show you the before and after effects of what happens when it snows on ice. So this is going to be pertaining to most of the ice belt and the upper 48. So most of America's ice belt, but I mean, this can happen anywhere in the world, realistically. It just happens to tend to happen in the lower parts of the ice belt, where the warm stuff is, and everybody has like shorter seasons for ice fishing. I do know it happens pretty much anywhere there is ice, so this is something that you should always pay attention to, always look out for. Things that I'm going to go over, you could make a checklist of things that you need to basically figure out if it's safe enough to go out ice fishing or not. This is going to be one of those things that a lot of people, they get bullheaded. If you're one of those bullheaded people, you might as well leave now. Because, I mean, I was bullheaded till after I fell through the fourth or fifth, sixth time, whatever. I've fallen through way too many times before I got it through my head that I need to stop doing that, because one of the times I'm not going to come back out of the ice. It doesn't matter what you have for safety equipment, unless you have, like a rescue crew hanging out with you. A lot of things can go wrong even with a couple people. So I'm going to try to teach you guys exactly what to look for, what you should be bringing with you at this time of year, and then like how you can kind of avoid having any problems. Because obviously we all want to do the same thing. We want to get out and go ice fishing, and we want to stay on top of the ice versus underneath the ice. It's not fun down there. I can tell you from experience, you don't ever want to experience what it looks like from underneath. So let me get into a couple details here. And like I said, I'm going to keep this really simple, really sweet. I mean, really short. So all right, I'll stop rambling. Let's get to it. Okay, so first things first. I've said this a million times. This is a spud bar that's got a very sharp end to it. It's got a good handle. This one happens to break in half, so it's got a pin right there you can pull. You can take it pretty much anywhere with you. There's no reason. I don't care if you have a car or a little Geo Metro or whatever. That'll fit in your car. Always take a spud bar with you. The number one thing I'm going to try to tell everybody right now, and I want you guys just to basically pay attention, is if you have a buddy that can go ice fishing with you, take them at this time. So right now, when you guys are seeing this, all across the Midwest and most of the ice belt is looking to get snow on top of very thin ice. Some places in Minnesota have up to, I believe the most I heard was 7 to 8 inches, which is actually pretty good. But if they end up with anything closer to like 10 inches of snow on top of that, it's still going to affect it. Here, write this down. If you're new to ice fishing, please write this down and memorize this. Whenever you get 2 to 3 or more inches of snow, and it's any kind of heavy, wet, insulating snow, well, it doesn't even matter what kind of snow it is. If you get 2 to 3 inches of snow on top of ice, it slows it down to a crawl. Meaning, you could have a 20 below night the next night after you get 6 inches of snow. It doesn't grow the same ice. It doesn't. It's like it's cut way, 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 way down to the point where you should just assume that it's growing, millimeters a night versus, inches. And obviously, the more ice you get, the slower it grows. But it's very deceiving because you can have 6, 7 inches of snow on 4 inches of ice, and the very next day could be 15 below zero all day, and you think, oh, I should have 10 inches of ice. So then you're like, I should be able to take my side-by-side out there. That's a bad idea. Take the spud bar, go check, take your drill some holes, measure the ice. Another thing I really want to get across to you guys is, please, if you are drilling holes, drill them away from trails and stuff like that, because anytime you drill a hole and there's, like, say there's no slush on the ice, the minute you drill that hole, the weight of the snow pushes down the ice, lets water come up, creates a big slush pocket. That's another insulator. That's one of those things where the slush pocket, it might freeze over on top and you think that's going to be good ice, but now that there's a layer of ice, slush, water, and then ice, this is insulated from cooling down. So that will not freeze unless it gets below subarctic temperatures. So what you end up doing is kind of shooting yourself in the foot for later on. I always try to just take a break and not fish when it's going to snow on thin ice. The other thing too, if it does snow a lot, so say you guys have, like, there's a lot of people that have been telling me to go out fishing and stuff like that. We had a real warm stretch. It weakens the ice. It might not break on you, but it does weaken the ice. Then it goes to the point where you end up with 6 to 10 inches of snow on top of 4 or 5 inches of weakened ice. That ice is porous. If you don't know what that means, it just means it's got tiny little holes that allow air to go through it. It necessarily stops the water from coming through, but when you get the weight of the snow on top of there, it pushes down the ice and the water comes up back to water level. You'll never have a part where the ice or the water or the ice is sagging a lot without getting some kind of slush buildup, especially if there's holes drilled already. If there were already holes drilled and that snow starts coming down, it literally just starts pushing the ice down and the water stays where it's at. So the ice goes under the water, the snow comes down, now the water is level with the top of the snow and the actual ice is down here. You'll end up having some scary circumstances if you're ever on a machine or something like that and you're cruising across the ice and you hit a big slush pocket. That pocket is literally a spot of the ice that goes down like this. There's still ice there, but the water is, you're at water level here. So yeah, be careful around slush pockets like that. But the biggest thing I'm just trying to get across to you guys is, one, if it's gonna snow, give it some time. Check ice before it snows too much. So that's a big thing. Like, go out with your spud bar, check ice before it snows so that you know how much there is. And if it's very, very little, if it's 2 to 4 inches, and you know that, measurably you got like 6 to 10 inches of snow, you're probably going to have problems fishing that body of water for a good portion of the season, unless the snow gets knocked down to the point where it melts and the ice can freeze again, or it gets really cold. You're talking like 15, 20, 25 below zero before it freezes through all that slush and then reconnects and freezes through the rest of the ice. That's what happens when you have snow on thin ice for first ice. It sucks. The only upside is if there's big bodies of water, those tend to not be frozen or have very, very thin ice. That snow will actually push it down and break it up, and then it'll refreeze. And a lot of times you get those bodies of water will end up having really good ice for the season, whereas like the ones that already had 3 to 4 inches of ice on them, those are junk for the rest of the season. So I'm just trying to keep everybody safe this season. That was kind of a goal of mine at the beginning. I wanted to make sure that people weren't just going out and being dumb, because there's people already falling through, and that shouldn't be happening this day and age. There's so much information out there. If you see this video, share it with new friends. Make sure that they understand. Snow equals insulated ice equals no ice growth, dangerous ice. Like, that's all you have to remember. Obviously, if there's 2 feet of ice and you get like 6 inches of snow on it, it's not going to do anything to it. You can get a foot of snow on 2 feet of ice and it's not going to do anything. What I'm talking about is when you have that 2 inches of great black ice, but then you end up with 6 to 10 inches of snow on it. So a good rule of thumb, I guess, would be if the snow is more than the ice, then you're going to have issues, and you need to check it often, and you need to make sure that if you're drilling holes, you're drilling them away from paths and places you want to walk to. If you are going to drill holes and you happen to go back to those places and the water is drained down the holes, be careful. Those holes open up. Like, there's a whole slew of things. If you guys want more videos like this, comment below. and I will try to break down any bad scenarios that you can go through. We all love ice fishing. I love it more than most people that I know. And I want to stay on top, and I want to see everybody else staying on top this season. So hopefully you guys all learned something today. Hopefully I'm able to keep a couple people safer. It's real simple, like I said. If you just pay attention, take notes. If there's more snow than there is ice, you're going to have issues. If you're having first ice and, it gets warm, that ice will get weaker. It might still hold people. It might still seem safe, but it will get weaker, especially towards the late season. But I'm talking first ice right now. So this is any future, seasons that you guys have a scenario where you get a little bit of ice, but you get a bunch of snow. You're probably going to have some problems. You're probably going to have to move to some different lakes and stuff like that, and hopefully you can get on something else. Otherwise, like I said, hopefully you guys learned something today. I hope I help a few people stay a little bit more safer. And obviously, if you're not new here, you know what's up. But if you are new, could you please just remember to